Hi everyone, it's Sue Plum here to share a scrapbooking process video with you. Now today's layout that I am sharing is my very first layout using the February kit for Kitaholic Kits, and I was very excited to crack into this kit because I was using a product that I hadn't used before, which was the beautiful Dilutions Shimmer Spray. And the colour I chose to start with was the vibrant turquoise. Probably because this is from my family of favourite colours. Blues and greens are my favourite to work with. So despite the fact that I had said in my unboxing video that I was going to try and use this spray as the product is intended, which was to spray it on the page, I wasn't quite ready to go that far at this point, and I just decided to use it straight out of the bottle with a large rounded brush there, and just basically apply it to my page like you would with any watercolor paint. I just applied it straight on there, and you can see that I am dipping and adding a little bit of extra water just to help it move around the page. And I was just looking at adding some color to my page just to define the focal area of my page before I got into any of the papers or bits and pieces like that. So the photos that I am working with today are a couple of funny selfies that I took with my kids, and these were actually taken on Mother's Day in 2019. We do have a tradition where we sit in one of our recliner chairs, usually on any sort of occasion, Mother's Day, Father's Day, that sort of thing, and we all pack into the chair for a photo together so that we can see how we change over the years. But I don't think we'll be doing that anymore because our recliner is sadly about to go to recliner heaven. So that will be 2020 would have been the last one in that chair. Anyway, I digress. So getting back to what I'm doing here, you can see that I've applied the shimmer spray onto my page, and I am just going to actually, I was going to set it aside to dry, but then I thought, no, what does it need? Oh, it needs some splatters. I might as well put the splatters on now. So I just dipped the brush back in, and you can see I've gone back and I am doing some splattering around the page just to sort of messy it up a bit. And then I'm actually going to set this page aside to dry naturally. I didn't actually use a heat gun on this because anytime I can avoid using a heat gun to minimize warping of my page, I do. So I just popped it aside, and I was actually working at my desk and I had the ceiling fan on, so I just popped it over to the side and just dried it off under the ceiling fan anyway. It was quite hot the day that I was making this. So, getting into the papers here, I pulled out a selection from the kit, and I do believe these were all Vicky Bouton Storyteller papers. So my plan was that you can see I am tearing a piece of that indigo coloured paper there, that absolutely beautiful colour, and I am just planning on running that sort of vertically down my page to act as the anchor point for my design, and then I'm going to build out on it from there. So what I plan to do with these two papers that you can see have got these sort of bold blue-green type prints on them is I actually wanted to cut some tags from them and use the tags as the basis of my design. So I do actually have a tag die, but I was way too lazy to get my big shot out. So I actually just grabbed one of these little craft tags that I had in my stash, and I just used it as a template and just drew around the outside of it, punched a hole in it, and then I tied them off with twine. So that's why I've sped this part of it up quite fast, because it's quite boring watching me make all of those tags. So I cut, I think, 2 out of one paper and 3 out of the other. And then my plan was to use those tags scattered sort of in various places. You'll see how I put them together on the page as the basis of my design, rather than cutting any sort of other shapes of patterned paper. Now, the other product that I was very much drawn to for this page, and that I actually wanted to feature on this page, is the gorgeous little frames, the Maggie Holmes Sweet Story, the puffy frames, which you'll see me grab shortly. So the reason that I had actually chosen to make tags is because I wanted to create the mix of tags and frames in the layering. I do like the combination of using tags and frames. I don't necessarily like using frames how they're intended to, frame around a photo. I just like using frames as a part of my design in the background. Now, the Maggie Holmes Sweet Story little puffy frames that come in this month's kit, there are some gold ones in there, and there are also some sort of bluey green coloured ones, and they're the ones that I actually chose to work with. Now, they actually do have a little acetate window in them as well. So however you use them is up to you, whether you do choose to pop a photo behind it or use them for whatever purpose, but I was going to use them straight on my background mixed with tags to form my photo mats essentially. So before I stuck down that piece of the indigo paper on my page, you can see that I just used my finger just to sort of distress around the edges of it. I'd already torn it, so it did have that distressed look, but I just went along and sort of scraped it with my fingernail just to ruffle it up a little bit more and just bring a bit of texture to the page. Now, they're the frames that I was referring to. They are really, really cute. And of course, even though there was 4 in that colour, of course I decided to work with 3 because everything in 3 is right. So you can see that they're actually joined together with a little piece of sticky tape just to keep them from moving around in the packaging, I guess. So just make sure you take off that little piece of sticky tape to separate them. Now, my apologies for the glare from the acetate windows. That was kind of unavoidable because I was also doing this at night at my desk with my overhead light. So you can see that I am fiddling there, and this is sort of the look that I was going for. I was looking at placing the frames down just to form part of my design and layering the tags just in different directions to create some visual interest. And then I have my 2 photos there, which I sort of wanted to run one off the left side of that anchor point and one off the right side of the anchor point. So I'm looking at where I'm going to place those frames to form a bit of a triangle, and you can sort of see where I'm going with this. So I've got one at the top, one on the left side, one on the right side. So they do form that tight sort of visual triangle around my main points of interest, which are my photos. So I just had to have a bit of a fiddle with the tags. One of them I actually just trimmed down to make it a little bit narrower because I wanted to tuck it even further under that bit of pattern paper in the middle there. And then I'm just arranging the frame underneath it. So it's just a little bit of fiddling back and forth to find where I wanted things to sit on the page. Now, if you watched my process videos that I had up with the January kit, you will know that I did have a little bit of a break from scrapping during December and some of January. So I have found that the projects that I've been creating just since I've started back up again, I do feel a little bit rusty. I do feel a little bit sort of indecisive when I'm putting things down on the page, and I'm not finding that I'm moving as quickly as I was before, so a little bit out of practice, and I'm quite surprised how rusty I did feel after only sort of 6 weeks away. So if you've had a break like that before, or had some sort of personal circumstances that have caused you to have a break, did you feel as rusty as me when you picked up your supplies again? And like I said, I'm very surprised how rusty and sort of out of sorts I have been feeling. Anyway, back to my design. So you can see I'm using my Scotch tacky glue there in my fine line bottle just to stick the elements down on the page. Those little frames are not self-adhesive, so you will need a liquid adhesive or some strong tape or whatever your preference is to stick them down with. As I said, I prefer to use the Scotch tacky glue. I had it there, it was handy. I can imagine that in addition to using an adhesive, you would actually be able to staple straight through these onto your page, or you would be able to stitch through them if you had a strong needle, or certainly be able to hand stitch them on. I'm sure there are other ways that people can think of to fix them to the page as well. Of course, I just went for the quickest and easiest because it was right there. So fiddling around with my photos. Now, I am going to shock you very shortly, because you will know that I usually use gauze, frayed gauze on my page to bring texture to my page. I'm not going to use any frayed gauze on this one. Shock horror, I know. Not to say that there won't be a textural element, but for this time I chose not to use gauze, and I'm actually going to use cotton instead. So here it comes. Now, I did mention earlier that I had my ceiling fan on in here, and it did stuff me around with this cotton quite a bit. This turned out to be a more difficult task than it should have been, thanks to my ceiling fan blowing my cotton in 15 different directions when I didn't need it to go there. But I soldiered on and got the job done, and let's face it, it's loose, messy cotton. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't need to be perfect, does it? So then using my Helma 450, that is my preferred adhesive when I stick over anything that is fabric like this, any sort of cotton or the gauze or anything like that. I find the Helma 450 does a great job of holding it down. Similarly, if I'm using sort of fabric embellishments or anything made of fabric, it is definitely my go-to glue. So what am I getting up to next? Okay, so in my little white bowl there, I have actually tipped out the Jen Hadfield, the Avenue Icon Ephemera, and I'm just looking for some little pieces just to sort of tuck in around my photos and my frames and just finish it off. I was looking for things that I could place in the frames, so the frames did look like they were holding something. So when I first looked at this icon ephemera, there are a number of very cute little things in here, and cute and I don't usually go together on the page. They were quite, well, I would call them cutesy, but I was very surprised that they weren't as difficult to include on the page. You can see that I've got that little, what I can only assume is mother and child down the bottom there, that little ephemera piece. And I actually popped that on there and I liked it on there, so I left it. So I also found a cute little house and a bird, and what else did I find? Oh, I do go back and find a little coffee cup with some flowers in it as well. And in addition to the ephemera pieces, I was also working with the Heidi Swapp old school sticker book. Now, I absolutely love this sticker book. It is chock full of heaps and heaps of stickers. I can't remember exactly how many are in there off the top of my head, but trust me when I say there are heaps. There are cardstock ones, there are foiled ones, there are clear stickers. They're awesome. Now, here I'm putting on my title using the thickers. I really, really love the size of these thickers. And I really love how many vowels you get with these stickers. I think there was like six A's in each font. So that to me is a winner. So the title of this page was Mum's Day because it was Mother's Day. So I just wanted to sort of keep it short and sweet and sort of balance it out with one word on one side of the page and one word on the other side of the page, just as I had with my photos. I just wanted to sort of replicate that arrangement. And what else am I doing? Oh, look, here I'm just fiddling around with the stickers. I'm just looking for little bits and pieces to finish them off. I know I did find a couple of little chevron stickers. There I go, with the little printed chevrons. They were really cute. I just used one either side of the photos just to sort of draw the eye in. And, oh, what else did I use? I think that was about it. I put that little smile word up there, and I finished off, oh, this is where I'm going back to find the coffee cup with the flowers in it and the bird. I did finish off this page with a stamped date and I just wrote a few words on there with a felt pen, and I also used one of my roller stamps out of my stash just to stamp the words "the best," the little phrase "the best" around the page a few times, just with them stays on black ink. And that was pretty much how I finished it off. So there are a really broad range of colours in this kit. There are a few sort of brights and stuff. I'm already looking, there's a lot of pink, and I've already got plans for a few other bits and pieces in there. So stay tuned for that one. And I do promise that at some stage I will use those spray bottles as intended. Anyway, that's it from me. Let me know your thoughts down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like what you saw. Subscribe to my channel. You know the drill. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.